Hello, young folks. Just want to test this out, make sure things are working like they're supposed to. This is physical science class, Tolbert. This is the first of the slides. This is lesson number 1. Science is a system of knowledge based on facts and principles. It's a system. Now, that might be different than what you thought, but that's how we're going to use science in this particular class. It's a system that we use to find out about the world, to find out about how the world works, why the world works in the way it does. And this here, if it's in red, it should be being written down on your page. Natural science or physical science is part of the natural science. You'll need to know, I could ask you a question based on this here graphic organizer, that there are 3 parts to natural science. There's biology, there's physical science, and there's earth science. You are right now in physical science. Physical science is broken into physics and chemistry. Rightfully so, it's 2 parts of your class here at Monarch High School. Physics 1 semester, chemistry another. And if you need more information, of course, at the bottom of this graphic organizer, you can see that forces and energy are physics, and matter and its changes represent chemistry. So, add this to your word map if you haven't already. Natural science is the general branch that all other sciences belong. That's the part you need to write in your word map. It deals with the phenomenon of what we would call our natural universe. But how does all this take place? This takes place by our observations. Our observations come in the way of sight, hearing, smelling, touch, taste. All these things are our senses. We put it together with various technologies, and it helps us to see what our universe kind of looks like. Sometimes the technology doesn't exist in order to give us the necessary observations that lets us know about our world. But what is technology? And you're going to have to write this definition in your word map. Technology is the application of science to meet a human need. Technology is the application of science to meet a human need. So the pencils and pens you're using to write, the paper you're using to write on, the very chair you're sitting on, the desk you're using, all of these are forms of technology. There was a need. We didn't want to sit on the floor. We invented chairs. We wanted something that was strong enough so that we could write. So we invented desks. But we invented paper so that we could keep record. We invented pens and pencils so that we could have something to use to create records. So all of these are forms of technology. But it can be, as in anything else, misused. Scientists, you are scientists. You investigate. You investigate and you observe. By paying close attention to details, scientists look for connections and patterns in nature. Yes, using your sight like this young lady here. You can use your sight to look for, well, what's actually happening? What's the world telling me about what's really happening? Are my senses actually telling me the truth? Are these things connected or not? Please write these in your word maps. Scientific law and the definition for scientific theory. A scientific law is a summary of an observed natural event, while a scientific theory is a testable, possible explanation of a natural event. They're very different. There's scientific laws and there's scientific theories. Scientific law just simply tells you it happened. Like you pushed play on the video and it's working. It doesn't tell you how the video works, why the video works. That's what the theory gets into. The theory gets into how does a video recorded, what happens with these electrons, what is electricity. All of those things get into the testable, possible explanation of how the event took place. In order for it to be a theory, it's got to be very simple or parsimonious. It's got to be simple. You've got to be able to perform tests or experiments on it. And these got to be able to be done by other people or repeatable by other people. You have to be able to predict. The cool thing about these theories is that they're predictive in nature. They're set up kind of like a model. Kind of like a model car kind of tells you how a real car will work, or a model plane kind of tells you how a real plane will work in the real world. You can predict if it's going to fly, if it's going to stop, if it's going to be too heavy to do what you want it to do. They are predictable. That is an important part. Scientific theories can be changed or replaced when new discoveries are made. So that's why they're continued to be called theories. They're tested over and over again, but they're still theories. Scientific laws just summarize. It tells you it happened. That natural event happened. The sun came up in the morning, beautiful day. But it doesn't tell you how. It doesn't get into the earth rotating around the axis. The whole notion that the sun is a big fireball, a chemical reaction. It just tells you it does. And last but not least, applying logic and reason to your observations and conclusion is what we want you to be. We want you to be logical. We want you to be critical thinkers. We want you to think about what you see, what you hear, your world. We don't want you to be rash in your judgment. Because if you slow down and think about what you see, are you sure you saw what you saw? Are you sure you felt what you felt? Sometimes our senses don't tell us the truth.